Hey everybody, welcome to the MGF Podcast. This is episode 4 of the I screwed it up. This is the show with a temporary name where we talk Lego, movies, and whatever else. My name is Ross, and joining me is Tait. Tait, I messed it up, man.
Hey man, you know what? Growing pains. It's gonna happen. Hey.
Hopefully we'll have less audio problems this time. We got a new overlay for the background, and I think we're slightly more prepared this time and ready to talk about Shazam, the
Absolutely.
Joker, Lego leaks, other stuff. What's up, Tait?
So yeah, we have a great show for you guys today. We're gonna be talking about Shazam. So we're going to do a non-spoiler conversation about Shazam, and then we are going to move into spoiler territory. We will let you guys know those timestamps when we get to it, but we're not going to kind of limit ourselves to a specific amount of time for either. We're just going to let you guys know. When you see the picture switch, of course, that means we're talking about something else. So if you don't want to hear spoilers, just wait for the picture to switch. But yeah, I say we just get started with Shazam because, oh my gosh, it was interesting, to say the least.
Yeah, so getting started with no spoilers.
Real quick, let me get the picture set up. Let me get the that's not the right one.
That would probably be a good idea.
I don't think that's it either. We're getting close. We're getting close, but that's a little bit legacy. There we go. There he is. All right, sorry to catch you off.
Cool, man. All right, so you know, I've been really excited for Shazam, and once it was announced, I was like, all right, New Line Cinema is going to be playing a big part. Is it going to be connected to the DCEU? Is it not? What is this going to be about? I'm really into the casting pick of Zachary Levi. I remember, like, early back in the day, it was like, people were like, maybe The Rock is going to play both Black Adam and Shazam. Do you remember all that crap? I was like,
what does that even mean? Like, whose idea was that? I didn't hear that.
Gosh, that was actually a thing before Zachary Levi was cast. But I've got to say, man, going into the movie, I was expecting a really heart-filled, fun experience. That's what it looked like. It looked like a lot of passion was being poured into it by the director. And, you know, I was into it, man. And that's exactly what we got.
Yeah.
The whole movie is so fun. It's so clever. And hats off to the casting director, man. Whoever was in charge of not only casting Zachary Levi, but also, I think his name is Asher, who plays young Billy.
Yeah.
Asher Angel, if I'm not mistaken. And then the kid who plays Freddy and all the other kids and the whole foster house and all the foster kids that just make up for the entire movie's soul and its heart. And it's just, you know, so much more moving than you would expect because of those elements. And sure, the movie has weaker elements like Dr. Savannah, I think. You have problems with the finale. It's not like it's perfect, but as a good standalone origin Shazam film, it was just about everything it needed to be, and I was genuinely impressed.
Yeah, so I do want to include really quick that this was not a Marvel movie. People are saying, oh, DC made a Marvel... No. Yeah. The tone of this movie was very different. You had a very coming of age feeling tone. Think about like the Goonies almost. It had that kind of feeling. It had a lot of inspiration, I guess, from It in kind of the way the child actors were performing with each other. Yeah, it definitely was not a Marvel movie. There were some darker moments in the movie itself, and it didn't have that kind of low stakes feeling like a lot of Marvel movies do. It had a low stakes feeling, but just not in the same, I guess, vein, you could say.
Like, yeah, low stakes. Like the stakes are pretty low for like Ant-Man and the Wasp and like
right.
You know, other movies in recent memory like Spider-Man: Homecoming, very low stakes.
Yeah, but it was a different feeling of low stakes. I mean, the stakes felt low, don't get me wrong, but it was a different feeling. You know what I mean? It didn't feel like a... My whole issue with Marvel is I can't look past... It's like a subconscious manifestation that I can't look past the whole there's going to be another movie. And because of the fact that idea wasn't there, the stakes felt fine. But, I mean, it just wasn't a Marvel movie. I mean, I don't know what else to say.
No, I mean, I can understand why somebody would say that it felt like a Marvel movie, but it also felt very separate because of this style. Like, absolutely. The director really brought his style from his experience with horror films.
Oh, you could tell it was a horror film. Self-evident. Oh yeah, no. In that regard, in that kind of thought process, you could tell it was a gritty Marvel movie at its core, as well.
Yeah, I mean,
not a Marvel movie, a DC movie. My bad.
Yeah, I mean, they certainly captured like the kind of like, I don't know, for lack of a better term, like the grimy feeling of DC in a sense, with like the city of Philadelphia, and going for not only the desaturated look, but also a decrepit look to an extent, and that's why Shazam always stands out in every scene, because he's quite the opposite. Absolutely. He's kind of like the colorful beacon of light amongst everything else. But man, I was so into the cleverness of the entire film. I mean, every little detail and all the attention that's paid to each one of the characters is it was impressive and better than I was expecting. Now, one thing, I just bumped my table. One thing that I just really did stick out to me. Now, this is kind of tough because listen, Shazam is a humorous, goofy film. That is what it's supposed to be. It is supposed to be campy, and it is supposed to be cheesy while still incorporating the serious elements of Billy Batson's story and his life, right? But at the same time, the realism at certain points was gone. I mean, it was like, I'm not, without spoilers, these kids were reacting to these intense situations and these life-changing moments with ease.
Yeah, I mean, very uncharacteristic of teenagers.
It in stride. I was like, listen, man, any kid, any teenager at that age, if this stuff was happening to them, sure, they would ease into it. But first they would freak the F out for a few hours, and then maybe they would begin to adapt. But for them to do it in seconds, I was like, all right, listen, I get it, we're going for the humorous, campy tone, but it's like, if they could have injected just a little bit more realism, because it's not like realism is absent from the movie, because you have a very real story with Billy especially, and with Freddy and the foster kid, and so for them to abandon it with those logistical things is, I think, one of the film's weaker sides. Absolutely. And then also Dr. Savannah was built up so well, without spoilers, he was built up so well in the first act, and then even a little bit in the second act, and by the time he's full on Dr. Savannah, it's like, oh man, he just becomes this boring, blank slate, emotionless stud of a character. And if you ask me, I would have rather they have thrown any other actor in there besides Mark Strong. See, this is a problem that I have with a lot of films. Even Marvel does it from time to time. It's like, don't waste big actors. Don't waste talent like that. If you're gonna create an emotionless villain like that by the end of it, and you're not gonna pay off everything you're setting up, don't use Mark Strong. Use somebody else. Save him for later. But otherwise, and of course, it's not like he's the main focus.
Right. But here's the thing.
Yeah, he's the only downside of the film for me, primarily. Everything else is fantastic.
You need a very strong antagonist to build a film. Now, changing kind of stride a little bit, last week I was talking a lot about Chekhov's gun. It's one of my favorite concepts in film because it's a really great way to kind of analyze the shortcomings of certain film. Now, at the beginning of the movie, they were kind of making strides in a good direction. Every time they'd introduce something, they'd very, almost gracefully even tie that into something. But as you kind of go forward and go along, they'd lose that a little bit. Jamie Dorr says, where's Black Adam? Now, in the spoiler section of this review, I'm going to be talking all about kind of Shazam lore, because of the fact that having Black Adam absent was the best choice I think they could have made. And that is a very unpopular view, but I have been reading Shazam comics for years, or Captain Marvel comics for years.
Yeah, it's kind of like setting up Batman, right? Like Batman, I don't think in most stories immediately confronted the Joker.
Exactly.
Like he meets other villains first, and the Joker eventually comes, and that's kind of like what they did here with Shazam. And I know at first I was so excited because of course The Rock was cast as Black Adam
amazing casting,
long before I mean, like way before Shazam. And so I was like, when they came out and said, "Oh yeah, but The Rock's Black Adam's not actually going to be in this first Shazam movie," I was like, okay, and it does work. You know, we have to deal with a weaker villain for this initial film, but it does so much to favor and cater to Billy and Shazam, so we can be fully invested in him by the time we make it to Black Adam with the next film, which I imagine is inevitable.
Yeah, so it's like imagine a Batman movie or a Batman franchise, I guess you could say. Like, picture the Dark Knight franchise starting with the Dark Knight. It would still be a great standalone movie. It'd still be incredible, but you would get lost in the Dark Knight Rises because you don't have an arc, right? It's totally fine to just see Dark Knight by itself. I mean, that's the movie I just go and watch, when I want to. I don't watch Batman Begins every time I want to watch Dark Knight. But without the context of Batman Begins, the Dark Knight Rises really loses it. We have an origin story here. If his origin story was immediately, fighting Black Adam, he would have gotten killed. And in universe, I mean, that's a good way to look at it. He would have gotten killed. I mean, Black Adam is one of my favorite supervillains. He is such a showboat. He is strong. He is striking. The Rock being casted as Black Adam, that's incredible. If he goes back to his old WWE days, that's going to be incredible. But yeah, I mean, if they had him in this first movie, it wouldn't have made sense.
Yeah, no, and not to delve into spoilers, but Dr. Sivana and his whole angle, trying to avoid those spoilers, it was sufficient. It wasn't perfect. They didn't go all the way with the character like they could have. In my opinion, very easily could have.
Oh,
but he held his place,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to get into spoiler territory, preemptively, but and I'm not going to, but I have very strong opinions on where Sivana should have or could have gone. There's a lot of things they could have done with it, but they took a weird route, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Based upon, I will say this, they built him up very well in the beginning. Like, the beginning of the movie is amazing. But
yeah, I mean, that's what was so surprising to me. Is like I mentioned when we first got started, it was like, dude, why would you set all that up and get us that invested in Dr. Sivana if they weren't going to pay it off? I was like, come on, man. And by payoff, I mean emotional payoff, because of course the character reaches his full potential, but like I said, he becomes a lifeless, boring stud of a character and just like loses all emotion, making you disconnect from what you were connected with the first act. So you get invested and they detach you from him, and it was like.
The thing that's so hard, though, when you're writing a comic book movie is that you have these larger-than-life heroes and villains who are very black and white in the comic books, because comic books are, 8 pages long. They're not very long. They're not novels. You don't have to flesh somebody out, and even like a series is only 50 pages long.
So one thing, really the other hard. Captain Marvel certainly struggled with that. You can, with that lack of material and building off of that, our other Captain film that came out in February.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
these two characters like finally reach the big screen. Their movies come out this close to one another.
Isn't that so weird? I mean, oh my gosh, I don't want to talk about the convoluted story of the Captain Marvel moniker, but oh man, it's something. But anyway, yeah, it's so easy to screw up a supervillain in a superhero movie because they're so one-dimensional in the comic books. But, I mean, we're in the golden age of superhero movies. Or not a golden age, but an evolved age where, we have all of these amazing Marvel movies that have already figured it out. So, it's kind of hard to give them a pass like we could have, 10 years ago.
Yeah, because, I mean, especially when we've had characters recently like Killmonger, who, wasn't perfect either, but certainly had more depth, was a really good example of just taking a few extra scenes and a few extra lines and inserting a bit more life and emotion into the character to make it a sufficient villain instead of what Shazam also again falls victim to, that Marvel has also been guilty of in the past several times. So I think, Dr. Savannah was what weighed the movie down, but I cannot emphasize enough just how much fun and how perfect the whole rest of the movie is.
Oh my gosh!
I mean,
you know what?
man, the story of Billy's story, his arc, Shazam, the brief mythology they tease, Zachary Levi. I mean, all of it. The younger cast, the foster house. I mean, the emotion that is felt between the characters is all so real. Like you just said, the pacing is solid. There are some gripping moments, especially one with Dr. Savannah. I mean, the rest of the movie, dude.
Yeah, let me just say, I don't want to talk about my biggest issue with the movie because my biggest issue is a spoiler. But, man, when I was watching the movie, like initial thoughts and opinions, I was like, wow, this is great. This is a perfect representation of Billy Batson. They're taking a character who is so beloved in niche comic book communities, and I think that they did him justice. It was really fun. It was a really fun movie. The coming of age made sense. It was, Billy Batson's kind of personality was realistic in my opinion. His grips on becoming a superhuman was also realistic to a certain degree.
Oh, yeah.
He was. His family not so much. But anyway, we'll talk about that in the spoiler part. But yeah, I think this did the character justice overall, and I'm really, really pushing hard from spoilers, man. I feel like I'm a loose cannon.
We're going to talk about spoilers in a few. Yeah, no, we're about to switch into spoilers in a second here. I'll just close off with this. I would absolutely recommend Shazam to everyone and anyone. I mean, anybody can go see this movie and have a good time, regardless of knowing anything. You don't have to know anything about the character or anything in general. I mean, they lay out enough for you to hop on board with this entire film, and it is a fun time. I wouldn't say Shazam reaches the same level of inspiration as like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, for instance, but it is still a really fun, upbeat film, and the cast, all of them, even the younger kids, just all poured themselves into their roles, and I really appreciated it. It's a fantastic film, and I'm very much looking forward to The Rock coming in as Black Adam for the sequel, I'm sure. And for those who have not seen Shazam, we're going to talk spoilers now. But Tate, any last words before we lose those guys?
Yeah, so I just want to say Shazam is worth watching. This is the first time since Wonder Woman I'm saying a DC movie is worth watching. I've still not seen Aquaman. I want to, though. That one's worth watching. But yeah,
so weird. I just said any last words. Sorry, go ahead.
But anyway, yeah, Shazam's worth it. Go watch it. It's fun. It's a great standalone movie. All right.
Yeah.
Now, real quick.
Spoilers. This is your spoiler warning. Tate is going to change the slide as we transition.
Okay. So really quick.
Yeah.
So really quick, I'm going to be showing this slide here of Shazam flexing. Now that means spoilers. We have a couple other pictures as well that are going to be part of spoilers. If you do want to tune in later when we're done talking about spoilers, look for this picture. Now this picture of Joaquin Phoenix Joker is, of course, our next topic. That's when we're stopping the spoiler talk. And then, of course, any picture after that. This is just the next segment, I guess you could say, after spoiler talk, is this picture of Joaquin Phoenix Joker. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah, so whenever you see the Joaquin Phoenix Joker image pop up again, that's when we're done talking Shazam spoilers. So,
all right, so 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The freaking ending! I'm sorry! I'm sorry, Ross.
I didn't even ask you about this before we started shooting the show here. Dude, what did you finally think? Because we all saw the Funko Pops. We knew the kids were all going to, get the powers of Shazam and become their own heroes at the end. What did you finally think of that? Like, listen, I don't think it was that big of a deal. I really enjoyed it, especially all the actors and how they really portrayed each kid to a T. Yeah. I mean, just adopting every kid's personality and mannerism perfectly. I was very impressed, and I think they're going to go very underrated. But as long as they're not really too heavily focused on in the Shazam sequel, and he gets to really go up against Black Adam by himself, I don't really have a problem with them being in this final act, but I know you certainly have a problem with Billy being absent from it.
Oh, okay, I have a lot of problems with the finale. That was my least favorite part of the movie. I was on board with the movie until I saw the Philadelphia sign. I was like, okay, cool, like a Christmas festival, like that's a great place to end the movie. Philadelphia sign forward, that's when the movie just completely goes off the rails for me. Now, let me preface this. The Shazam family in 1970 was Captain Marvel Jr., and Mary Marvel. It was really cool to see Mary Marvel in the movie. It was such a great callback to somebody like me who's read those comic books and who really enjoyed it. Now, you had the Shazam family in the New 52. You had the same Shazam family we see in the films. It was really cool to kind of see them, all of that kind of stuff. Like, yeah, okay, it's cool to see them. Now, here's where it starts getting problematic for me. The pacing. Oh my god, the pacing. The fight scenes in Philadelphia are not good, in my opinion. I think the pacing's really, really terrible with the slow-mo interplay. The slow-mo when they're running really fast, when the what's the younger sister's name? I don't remember. When she's running really fast, that slow-mo's great. I mean, that's so fun to see. But the slow-mo with the punches and with the ice breaking and with him getting thrown through walls, the fights didn't feel good. They felt weird to me. And then
there was something that they weren't satisfying.
They weren't satisfying in the slightest, right? Oh, we have Twitch viewers. Hey, Twitch viewers. But anyway, kind of I'm going to keep kind of going with this train. The whole like siblings on the seat of the council thing, fine. I liked that they each had a manifested power, but the fight scene, the way that he was fighting felt bad. It felt bad before he surrendered. You know what I mean? That fight scene shouldn't have... It was stretched over like 6 minutes or something like that, and he fought 2 of the 7 deadly sins. It felt bad. When he flies off and gets...
I wouldn't go that far, but I see you're a lot more passionate about it than I am.
Oh, dude, I'm really... I was so on board with this movie. I was like, okay, this movie's like a 9 out of 10 for me. And then the finale, for me, dropped it down to a 7.5 out of 10.
Oh, my God. And especially the very end.
Oh, my God. Okay, now, the whole pulling Envy out felt... Oh, also, real quick, you talked about realism earlier. There was no realism with the Philadelphia scene. You just see people running through the thing somehow. Like, there were like 500 people there, and you see like Santa Claus and like 2 other people there, and then they all come back. At the end, the realism was off there. It just felt really weird. But the whole Envy getting pulled out at the end was great, in my opinion. That was super fun, in my opinion.
Yeah, I didn't even catch that they were missing one either.
Right,
I gotta say, really man, cool. the CG on those, very much like Marvel.
Oh, they were terrifying.
Not perfect when they were close up.
Oh no, but dude, they were terrifying. I liked those. The Seven Deadly Sins. But anyway,
I mean, I've heard kids have been running out of the theater already from seeing them.
Oh, jeez, that's crazy.
Yeah, they are, dude. I mean, imagine being like 4 or 5 and seeing that.
Dude, when their heads get ripped off in the Savannah Corp scene, oh my god!
You could, dude. I mean, when those things eat people's heads off in Shazam, I mean, they don't show it obviously, but you see the head go in. You know, I mean, you see these people get. Yeah, you see these people get thrown out windows when Billy's trying to save the bus that he, inadvertently wrecked. It's coming over the bridge. Those people that fall through the bus and hit the glass really hard.
Oh my god!
All those different moments like that is where those horror elements from the director's past really came directly to the forefront, and you could 100% tell this guy has a few horror movies under his belt. And yeah, so I mean, I liked the 7 Deadly Sins. It's just I didn't like how they were linked in with Dr. Savannah. And I didn't like how, really, with not just the kids and how quickly they adapt to not only the entire situation, but getting the powers of Shazam, whether it be Billy or the kids themselves in the final act, but even Dr. Savannah takes on full control of these 7 Deadly Sins and starts flying around like it's nothing.
Yeah.
You know, there is no learning curve for this guy.
It would have been great because, of course, we don't want to take away screen time to see him. But when he was right before, or maybe not right before, but around the same time as the scene where he goes up to his dad's office, I mean, he should have been more kind of, instead of being so stoic and acting like he had full control, I think he should have been a little bit...
Dude, like, Tate, even General Zod. You remember in Man of Steel, General Zod had a quick learning curve before he could just start doing everything Clark was on Earth, you know?
Oh, I loved that. I think that was paced perfectly. The whole General Zod learning how to use the powers, that was perfect.
Yeah, so, I mean, something similar here would have been really great for Sivana. And now to really go in to one thing that I'm passionate about that I want to get out of the way, this whole spoiler portion is a little disjointed, but I'm trying to create clear distinctions about what we're talking about and when. So the ending, like, this is where I was really bummed out. Because I know a lot, you know, apparently huge DCEU fans and Snyder fans like myself are a minority group now. We're kind of like the Jedi on the run getting hunted down. And it's like,
oh, dude,
I mean...
You are.
And so for me, like I said this before, when it was finally announced that Ben Affleck was out and that the DCEU basically lost its lead, for me, that's where the DCEU collapsed. And anything that follows now is just going to have to be taken as a standalone movie, and we're just going to have to try to ignore the fact that it's all taking place in a failed shared universe.
Oh, man. That's just so sad, dude.
And so my problem is, I was trying to go all in on that idea with Shazam, not think about the DCEU. Aquaman, I didn't have to think about it. You know why? Because they only mentioned the rest of the DCEU once in the beginning in passing. That's it. Nothing else. Nada. I was hoping for something similar with Shazam. Obviously, we knew that wasn't going to be the case. But looking at trailers, we saw DC merchandise literally in the movie, in the stores where he's fighting Sivana at the mall. And so I was like, okay, you know, if we're trying to entertain the idea that this is in the DCEU, and Justice League, Batman, Superman, they kind of finally all went public, and now the world has seen them and kind of knows about them to where maybe toy companies could make merchandise of them. And so that's fair. But man, I was able to get past that stuff. But then when you get to the end, and he goes, oh, I invited another friend into the cafeteria, and then the damn body double of Superman just shows up out of nowhere. I wasn't even paying attention enough. Apparently you said that it was Nick Cage's Superman costume?
That was the Nick Cage Superman costume, yeah.
Are you sure?
I'm positive. You could tell by the reflectiveness, like the plasticky look of it.
Why do they keep saying that this is taking place in the DCU? That is clearly not.
No. So that was, of course, a gag. You know, the ending Superman suit? That was, of course, a gag.
Yeah, it was taking place canonically, though, during the narrative. It's like, that wasn't like a joke. You know, that happened.
It did happen, but it's also like it's a meta joke, of course.
So the only way around this, if you ask me, I was very disappointed when it wasn't Henry Cavill, because for me that was just a huge, awful reminder of the DCU's failure and how Ben Affleck is out, Henry Cavill is about to leave. It's like I was just enjoying this whole movie. Don't remind me of that. Don't bring in a body double of Superman with no face. Don't do that. It's like, I would have preferred they not do it at all. If you wanted to use a body double, you know, do it for The Rock and setting up Black Adam in a post-credit scene. Don't bring in a faceless Superman. It's like, for me, unless you try to come out and say, like, let's say, you know, David S. Sandberg, he goes, oh, that actually wasn't Kal-El. That was just a guy in a Superman costume, a fit, buff guy that, you know, Billy hired to show up, right? You could just pass it off like that if they wanted to within the story and be like, oh yeah, no, that was never actually the real Superman. It's just Shazam. You know, Billy brought in a buff guy in a Superman costume to, you know, for the kids to believe that it was Superman, right? Kind of like Santa or whatever. And so that's, you know, that would be fine with me. But if you're trying to say that was Henry Cavill's Superman, or that was Superman, period, dude, get out of here.
Yeah.
You know, that genuinely upset me, because then you go into the credits and they're showing you all this sketchbook that they've all been drawing of Shazam meeting Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman and the Flash and Aquaman. It's like, listen, man, stop. You know, it's I understand and I appreciate what they're trying to do. All the merchandise from the other Justice League members was enough.
It was more than enough. The bullet was almost too far, in my opinion. The Superman bullet.
Because what are the odds that a kid would get a handle of one of those so quick?
Okay, but the cool thing was the joke that they pulled the Chekhov's gun there, showing us the bullet, showing us the certificate, and then having Shazam get shot a bunch of times, and he takes the video and he certifies it there. That was cool. That was awesome, in my opinion. But anyway, no. Continue.
Yeah, man. And so it's like, listen, I'm trying as a DCEU fan or a former DCEU fan. I am trying to disconnect. I am trying to watch Shazam by itself. I'm trying to go and watch The Suicide Squad and Birds of Prey and Wonder Woman 1984 and Aquaman 2 as standalone movies. But for the love of God, I don't need them to make an entire credit sequence showing the Justice League, knowing we no longer have a Batman, knowing we're about to lose Superman, and that the crossover potential is already pretty much gone. Don't show me that. Just don't do it. The merchandise was enough.
I was going into this movie under the guise of this is a solo superhero movie, and then watching it. No, if you want a perfect DCEU, this is my recommendation: cut out Justice League. All right, because that's just what it's feeling like right now. It feels like Batman versus Superman happened, like all the events of that movie, and then Shazam happened. That's just what it feels like canonically, and it sucks. You can't watch this movie and confidently say as a DC fan or as a viewer that this is a standalone movie. As much as I try to tell myself it is, it's not. Dude, they reference the real world people.
When the rest of the kids get the powers, it's like, yeah.
Oh, God. No, I mean, they're just trying to make a big universe. But other than that, I mean, this movie was good. Other than that,
yeah, man. And listen, that's the only that and Dr. Sivana are the only two problems I have with Shazam that I'm genuinely passionate about, because it's like I didn't need the extra Justice League connections, and I didn't need Dr. Sivana to be turned into a lifeless, motionless stud when adding a little bit more depth to the character would have been so easy. Just a bit more, just something, because he loses all of it. I mean, he becomes a blank slate once he's like full on Dr. Sivana, and I'm just like, come on, man. Why would you go through this whole intro sequence with him? Why would you, show him in the car in 1974 with his dad and his brother getting teleported into what the hell is it? The Temple of Shazam, meeting Shazam, the former Shazam who's been down there for God knows how many thousands of years, and show that he's not worthy, do that whole sequence, bring him back in, do the accident, horrifying, you get emotionally connected to him, then you see him in the future, and he's really trying to figure out all these other people who have had sightings and a similar experience, other people who are also not being believed by society, and that he gets invested, he figures it out, finds the door, then he goes in, you're like, this is awesome, just, it was great, and then he gets the power, and it's just like,
immediate,
dude,
no build up, no nothing.
Stud. I mean, immediate loss of emotion, loss of character, loss of everything that they were building. It's like, why were you setting all of that up to just cut it off? So that's it, man. Those are my only two problems with Shazam. That's it.
So my problem with Sivana is not the fact that he was a blank slate. It's the fact that he was a blank slate through the entire movie. Now, this is another reason why I have such an issue with the ending. At the ending, he should have been completely destroyed. He should have been crying. He should have been emotionally said, I deserved that power. I worked hard for that power. What did you do? You were given that power immediately. Why are you worthy? Why are you chosen? When I spent 50 years of my life dedicating 50 years of my life to gaining this power, it should be me, not you. That's what should have happened when Envy leaves the body and all that kind of stuff. He should have just been defeated. But no, he's not.
He just doesn't say anything. They throw him in a cell and he just starts writing text on the wall. Come on.
It would have fixed the fact that he got his powers immediately. It would have fixed the fact that there was no emotional strain or attention or anything to his character through the second act of the movie if he just had a 1-minute scene where he was destroyed, saying, Billy Batson, you don't deserve the power you've been given. You are not worthy, despite him being the chosen one. It would have fixed everything. And wouldn't have fixed the pacing issues I have, but
Billy was never actually really meant to be the chosen one, because if you remember in the second act when it all goes down, it's like basically the former Shazam has just been too slow over the hundreds of thousands of years. He hasn't found his guy, but the 7 deadly sins have, and so he's just like, listen, man, we already lost. I'm on my way out. They already got out. Hey, kid, touch the staff, say Shazam, I'm done. That was basically how Billy became Shazam, and so it was good because it served his character. Billy is a kid who has grown up without a mom, going from foster family to foster family, still looking for his mom. He's like run away 23 times, and that's just been his life. He's never been, he hasn't really been raised by anyone. He's raised himself, and so it was an opportunity for him. It enhanced his story so much because then he's starting from that point, being given these powers, and then having to come to the right decisions himself, regardless of his lack of parentage. And I think that's that really served his character more than anything. Him just kind of being a last option that the former Shazam just went with last minute. What did you think of that?
It served the character, the whole quick Shazam thing. I liked that he was selfish. I liked that he had the whole learning curve that made sense. He's still a kid. It's still a coming of age movie. I liked him abusing the fact that he had an adult body. That was great.
Yeah.
But man, I mean, I just have to say,
oh my god, the beard. Yeah.
The beer scene was great. Oh, that was hilarious.
Oh my god, that was great.
That was so clever. But I mean, seeing how well they developed Billy and his coming of age, just how did they let Savannah drop off? Honestly,
it was so easy to prevent that. I mean, literally, all
one breakdown at the end of the movie.
Yeah, just like even just change some dialogue, tell him to insert a bit more emotion. It was like, dude. But yeah, I mean, listen, man. I do want to focus more on the positives now because, that's really all those problems only make up 30%. The other 70% of the movie is fantastic.
Oh, dude, are you kidding me? It's so much fun. There's a superhero training montage in the movie, and it is so clever. The things that they had a Fortnite dance, and that's not cool. But anyway, the rest of it is just
shorter. That was very brief. That lasted half a second.
Oh, sure, but it was so clever, the whole coming of age thing, him testing his superpowers. That was the coolest part of the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movie, and they kind of recreated it here in a way. It was just so much fun to see.
And when they got to the convenience store, he's like, I would like to purchase 1 case of your finest beer, please. And then she points to the fridge. He walks over there, and there's Freddy right behind him, looking like he's gonna buy it for the kid. Oh man. And then when the robbers show up, and then that's when they test his bulletproof ability. And
that was my favorite scene in the movie.
That was great. And the robbers were just going with it, and they were just shooting him, and then Freddy was shoot him in the face. Billy was like, "Wait, what?" They just do it, and he's fine. Oh my gosh!
I just love the lack of realism in that scene because they could have shot the woman, they could have shot Freddy, and what is he gonna do then? You know what I mean? But
I don't know if there was a lack of realism because if you're a robber like that, if you have any sense, you're not gonna shoot the clerk or the kid if you don't have to. It's
that's true.
Obviously, Shazam is the main threat. I think some robbers, like at least these in this case, probably have at least some sense that they don't want murder charges under their belt too.
Right.
But especially killing a kid unnecessarily or anything.
It was so fun. Just that whole part of the movie. I love how that the pacing in that part was great too, because you go from this amazing relationship building between Billy and Freddy that's slowly unwinding and getting worse and worse. Freddy's getting selfish, Billy's getting selfish, and they break away. They have the breakaway scene where Billy stops attending school and Freddy starts getting more and more bullied, and it's just that transition there is done so well. And then
when they're in the cafeteria and Freddy throws away.
Oh yeah, that was perfect. It was his character.
That was something I would do. I swear I've done that in my life. I don't know. That stuck out to me. I thought that was hilarious. But
that's great. Yeah.
Yeah, man. No, that was all really great with the development of how it all played out between the two relationships and how they broke apart.
And then I love the catalyst of Eugene figuring out the diary, doing the research. That was just well done. It was just
that kid's right like saves breaking federal barriers like digitally, and he's like, what, 8, 9? Oh my god!
But it served the movie well, is the thing, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, no, it was good though. Yeah, and I will say. One moment that also stuck out to me with the Foster family. By the way, the Foster family, like their foster parents, probably the nicest human beings to ever live.
Oh yeah,
how they're portrayed in this movie. I mean, wow. But dude, when they pieced together that Billy is Shazam, I was just like, okay, again, this is where realism just left the movie completely. Like they pieced it together. They realize that Billy is able to turn into an adult superhero at will, and they take it in stride.
Like, what are you supposed to do, though, when you see a man dressed as a bat and a superhuman and a fish man and...
Listen, man.
All those things on TV.
Are more believable. Those things are more believable than a kid being able to transform into a man by just saying a word and then lightning striking his ass at will. I mean, it's like... So I think if they inserted a bit more emotion into that scene, and also, one small thing that I took issue with Shazam was, dude, the music was like gone. There was no score. There were so many scenes that were just dead silent. I was like, I don't know who they brought on to handle who composed the tracks for Shazam, but they didn't add anything to the movie.
Yeah, it was very plain. I liked their choice of music, but I can't say I remember any songs they used at certain moments, when they used pop songs and stuff. It's just, there wasn't a score. There wasn't
even a good theme for Shazam. Like, they didn't even create a theme for him in this movie. So I think that was also lacking, but, man, my favorite moment, I think, or at least my favorite gag, was by far the two of them up in the air in Philly, like separated, like Shazam and Savannah separated by a few hundred feet. And Savannah is just threatening Billy and just like, and they can't hear each other because they're too far away. Just a major jab at superhero movies and like flying superheroes that can talk to each other regardless of the distance.
I love that. Like, that was great. No, that was excellent.
It takes a lot for me to laugh, and that got me. I was like, oh man, that was good. That was clever. Again, going back to the cleverness, it was just so inventive and something that seems so obvious that just has never really been addressed. Because usually when you're dealing with like Superman or General Zod, they have super hearing, so they can hear each other fine. But it's like there are so many others where other superhero films that I can't name off the top of my head that we could pull as examples that kind of ignore that and do it anyway, regardless of whether or not they have super hearing.
Oh my gosh, dude! That's like Thor in scenes in Marvel. You know what I mean? We don't have any confirmation of that, of super hearing with Thor, right?
Yeah. Well, might have enhanced hearing. Of
course.
They have Asgardians have enhanced everything compared to humans.
True. But yeah, dude, that was clever. But I just wish in that scene Savannah was A, more emotional, and B, talked about Billy's worthiness a little bit more, because he did touch on it. But he didn't say, I worked my entire life and you just got it. You know what I mean? He didn't say anything like that. He was like, oh, you're the chosen one, but you're only a child. That's not the issue. The issue is not the fact that he's a child. The issue is the fact that you worked for 50 years and he didn't. You know what I mean? And maybe that's what they were going for with the whole he's a child thing, but I don't know. It would have been nice to see Billy take a little bit of a trial, though. Kind of. It would have showed a little bit of development, but I liked that he got his powers when he was still a selfish kid. It was cool. Yeah. It was great.
And dude, we got to talk about Billy's real mom.
Oh, that was excellent, dude. That was excellent.
That felt too real.
That did feel too real.
Oh, that's where realism was ever so present.
No, dude, Billy's story was very realistic, in my opinion, from the foster kids that I know.
Yeah, because there was something peculiar about that opening flashback with his mother and how she just never found him, never came from, like, that's not real.
That's not normal.
It's like, and like if the cops found, unless like she went like got killed and murdered somewhere, she would have found him, especially because the police did, very quickly. It's not, and so it was like, for me, I was just like thinking about that, and then when you finally get to the scene where Eugene is like, "This is your mother's name. She'd been going by her maiden name, I think it was."
Yeah.
And she lives 2 blocks away. And then you get there, he goes down the hallway, and it turns out his mother, is not in the greatest situation. She's with seemingly a drunk, abusive relationship, and she just up and abandoned her child. Yeah. I was like, yo.
That's how you know it's a DC movie. You know what I mean? Like Marvel doesn't tackle those kind of themes.
I was like, when was that a thing in the comics?
No.
Or is that just something they added? Because if that was something they added to Billy for this, that's really inventive.
It's hard to say. They don't really do
cover
much
his parents.
In the comics.
Yeah.
Dude, it's so hard too because Shazam has been a comic book character, at least as we know him, for the past 60, 70 years. Lego Pete asks, was Mary Billy's biological sister? Yes, sometimes. I'll just say sometimes. But yeah, it's hard because his mom dies in a comic book. I don't remember which run. But his mom dies. His mom abandons him the exact same way in the movie. Except, of course, it's not fleshed out similarly because, movie, comic, different medium.
But yeah,
it's kind of like a Uncle Ben situation where it happens in a lot of different ways.
Oh, and they really just... That's something that I don't really think has ever been done in most comic book movies of the last decade. When have we had an A-list or even a B-list superhero like Shazam have their biological mother just leave them as a child? Like that. That was kind of different, and I wasn't expecting it. And dude, when they really rub they really rub salt in the wound when he hands her, I think it was the compass back, or whatever the trinket was that she gave him at the fair as a kid, as a baby, as a kid. Yeah, I think it was like, I don't know, he was like 5.
I also like that real quick. Sorry to cut you off, but when he was remembering it at the beginning of the movie, it seemed all happy, like, oh, like, I lost my mom, but she's being so nice to me. And then when you see the real flashback, like her flashback, Billy, shut up, stop crying. Like, I'll get you the freaking tiger. I'm not a professional dart thrower. And then when she just gets, Millie, this isn't funny. This isn't okay. I loved that duality there. But anyway,
yeah, so you quickly realize that he was remembering through like rose tinted glasses because he was a kid and couldn't remember much else. And then when you see it through her perspective, through her lens, you're like, yo. I mean, that was grim. And surprising. One thing I think though is as good of an addition it was to the story, I wish it hit Billy a little bit harder. Because like literally in that moment, he's just like, I have to go back to my real family. Like within a few seconds. Now listen, man, you can argue that he quickly became attached to them, sure. But he's been looking for her tirelessly for the last 9 or 10 years. He was like, what, 4 or 5 when she left him? 3 maybe? And he's 14, like just about to turn 15 in this movie. Dude, he's been looking for her for at least 9 or 10 years. And it's like, so for him to just quickly pass it off, I was like, again, so realism came back in for that scene and then left as soon as the scene wrapped up.
I think he should have run away and the family finds him. I think that would have been far better.
Needed to hit him a little harder because it's like that would ruin a kid for at least that day, Yeah,
for sure. But yeah, like I was saying though, if he just kind of ran away and then the parents found him, like the foster parents found him, it just would have felt better. And that doesn't need to be a long scene. It's just adding a minute to the movie. There's a lot of situations in this movie where adding a minute or two kind of helps a lot. Like I said at the end with Savannah adding a minute or two. I'm going to change the slide to Savannah really quick. But just taking a minute or two and focusing on him, saying, you're not worthy, I am. I've been working all this time. I'm the worthy one. There would have been a lot of payoff there. And to not have that is just so disappointing. But same here, to not have him return to the foster parents that were looking for him to show that they're actively searching and care about him.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
And also, one little detail I noticed, the doctor, remember when Savannah, he unlocks the door to the temple, and then the doctor that he's working with thinks they're studying public hysteria. She's very over the top and purposefully so. And she touches the door and just turns to straight up ash in a slow, brutal fashion. I was like,
it's a DC movie. It's a DC movie.
Yeah.
But like if the snap happened, if the snap happened in a DC movie, that's what it would have looked like. Like that just shows the difference between the two, in my opinion.
But I was curious, what was the science behind that door? Not like science necessarily, but the rules behind that door. Because it's like, then Savannah touches the doorknob, he's fine. I guess because he's been chosen.
It's not magical.
or no, I guess because he had actually been chosen and had been there before. That's why he was like ass. I don't know if that's a thing. But then it's like, if I recall, I'm pretty sure those kids, or at least like the mother and father, touched that door too. And they were fine.
True.
I'm not sure I'm remembering wrong, but I'm pretty sure one of them did. Or, they certainly went through.
They don't touch the door on screen, but they touch it after it's already transformed, is the thing.
Like and they walk through fine. They didn't get vaporized. It's like, damn, what was wrong with that lady?
So I think maybe this is my idea. Maybe you have to believe in the temple, because she didn't, of course, and then maybe Savannah was allowed to go back through because of the fact that the demons were choosing him as their champion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they obviously have some sort of. We do know that because in the comic books, I'm going to pull this up in original Shazam chronology, and this is why I love the fact that they chose the Seven Deadly Sins as the villain. They do have a lot of manipulation in terms of psychic manipulation. So, yeah, I think it makes sense. I was
going to be kind of bummed if, like, when we got to the end, if that psychic manipulation actually came into play, and when he was like about to touch the orb, I was like, "Are we really doing this at the end of the movie?" And then when it's just passed off as a gag, and he's like, "Are you guys serious?" I thought that was.
No, that was perfect. That was excellent.
Yeah.
And, man, I pulled up this picture of the original Seven Deadly Sins from the 1940s comic book series.
Oh no!
I absolutely love Wiz Comic Shazam. If you guys don't know, Shazam was actually not created by DC or Marvel. He was created by a company called Wiz Comics, and the rights to Captain Marvel, Shazam, whatever you want to call them, were taken by DC in the 60s, either the 60s or the 70s. Don't remember right now, but yeah, I just think that this is the perfect Shazam story. It's so embedded in their roots, the whole Seven Deadly Sins thing. I like that a lot.
Yeah, man. So I feel like we're leaving stuff out that I just can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to really chug through as well. There were
first a lot of why didn't Billy? How about in the beginning? Why didn't Billy go to juvie?
That's true. Yeah, for locking police up. What the heck?
I was like, wow, he got let off for that.
Hey man, this is the same universe where a man can talk to fish, so that didn't bother me too much. But that is true. No, that is very true. Yeah. Oh, something that I want to point out. You have the whole speech with the wizard saying, "Remember back to our brothers and sisters who sat upon the thrones," right? Do the kids keep their powers after the climax of the movie? Like,
yeah, they don't mention anything about it.
Not like
maybe they wanted to leave it open so they can decide later.
I hate that personally as somebody who loves solo movies, but I have a feeling we're gonna see Freddy Shazam up in an upcoming movie, and
well, I mean we just did,
right. But yeah, that's how it is in New 52 comics. They keep their powers. So
yeah, so what's that going to be like? Because it's like at that point, you might as well call the movie Team Shazam or something, because it's like now it's not just about him going up against against Black Adam. Now you've got all the kids, and so
speaking on behalf of him going against a centralized evil, he didn't go against a centralized evil really. He went against envy. In the movie, and that's unfortunate in my opinion. Shazam should have been the center point of the finale. I also think the finale was just poorly paced. I've already said that, but it's one of my big issues. But Shazam should have been at the fair fighting each demon. You know, even having some of the sins reflect onto him. It would have been cool to see that imagery as well. Because we do see that the champion thousands of years ago released and then encased the 7 deadly sins. Right?
Right.
One person did it. So, well, maybe one person didn't do it. Maybe it was the whole Shazam family, but they said the champion, right? I also liked, though, sorry about that. Go for it.
Dude, when they go back into the temple at the end of the 3rd act, and the 7 deadly sins become statues again, I'm just thinking, like, you guys just gonna live with those right there? Just, like, talking to you the whole time? You're down in the lair, just like they did the original Shazam who lived there? I was like, okay. Like, they're like, yay, our new lair, it's gonna be great. And I was like, but the 7 deadly sins are now right up on the pedestals again, yapping their faces off. Like, did you catch that?
I did, yeah. No, that was disjointed for me. Yeah, it'd be so much easier if there was one Shazam and he just said, oh yeah, let's seal this place up and never come back. And like, yeah, he broke this staff, so there'll never be another Shazam, there'll never be another champion.
Yeah, and so for that to be their lair, I was like,
of comic chronology.
My lair.
But
you know,
no, it's just the fact that they didn't tie up the Shazam family at the end. It's just
at any given moment
weird to me,
because I don't want to stop them from getting unleashed again.
You know, because they were all fighting. They were all off fighting different sins.
I guess the weakening of the champion
at the carnival. I don't want them to all attack Black Adam. I mean, that needs to be Shazam versus Black Adam. We need to see the gladiatorial fighting between the two, like we see in the comic books. Because oh my god. Watching Shazam and Black Adam fight,
I think we have an audio problem.
Incredible. It's better than watching Spider-Man and Venom fight.
Second, guys. I think we have a disconnect in my audio. Hold on.
Did we lose Ross here? Can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, my PlayStation controller died. Of course it did.
Okay. Yeah, so guys...
we were talking at the same time, so...
Yeah. So if you guys didn't know, we haven't been having the easiest time with audio on this. We actually, we talk through PlayStation while we have the call going. And so we mute the call and then we talk through PlayStation so that we don't hear any cutouts and we can keep the conversation flowing. And yeah, so Tate's controller is disconnected there. Sorry about that.
I had the controller side plugged in, but apparently the USB was not plugged into my PS4. I don't know
Still trying to get through these growing pains. Appreciate you guys bearing with us. So, man, I think that's about it for Shazam. There's nothing else that really comes to mind. So, man, we went on about Shazam for a straight hour.
Oh, dude, the movie deserves it, though. I mean, it's a great talking point, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can Billy live forever if he stays Shazam? Yes, actually, Lego Pete. Yes. So it's a Hulk situation. It is very similar to that. You know how pretty much the whole Planet Hulk thing in Thor Ragnarok that could essentially happen with Shazam with the champion. They play a lot with that too, because like what happens if Billy Batson dies, but while he's dying he says Shazam. There was one.
Oh, that was kind of interesting when Savannah was trying to drown him. So like the words Shazam have to be uttered into the air. Like you can't just say it underwater. So like, damn, you can drown Shazam.
What an interesting thing is, though, in the comics, Billy gets either shot or stabbed or something. He gets like mortally wounded, but he says Shazam right after it happens. Shazam is fine, but when he says Shazam again, turns back into Billy Batson, he starts dying again. So I wonder if they'll play with that in the next movie. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, or maybe if the DCEU does come back together, we'll cut to Flashpoint Paradox one day and Wonder Woman run Billy through.
But anyway, yeah, moving on. That was a lot about...
Yeah, man, go check out Shazam. It's a fun time.
It's great. Oh, we had the Joaquin Phoenix Joker trailer. Woo! Yeah. Oh, Joaquin Phoenix is probably my favorite actor, my favorite working actor. I think he's incredible. He controls his scripts perfectly. I mean, as a film lover, I just think he's perfect for this role.
So to kind to kind of intro, I just think back to like 2014 when Jared Leto was first cast as the Joker, and then he barely had a minute to even give it a try while he was on screen. Didn't even have a chance. And so that was really bad, unfortunately. And so when this news eventually came out several years later that Joaquin Phoenix was going to be doing his own solo separate Joker movie taking place outside of any existing universe, I was like, all right, sure. I mean, that's who I wanted to play the new Joker anyway, Joaquin Phoenix. If it can't be in the existing universe, that's fine. I'm looking forward to it regardless. That's what he certainly wanted. He didn't want to sign on for a multi-picture contract with Marvel or DC. That's why he turned down Doctor Strange and several other roles, so that was fair. And he wanted to take one of these characters and shoot it on an indie film's budget, and that's exactly what Joker is.
Okay, and calling $50 million an indie film budget is kind of a stretch.
Well, sorry, okay, or at least shooting it to look like an indie film. How about that?
Right.
Because that's certainly what they're going for. But yeah, man, I do think that this trailer was better than I was expecting and longer than I was expecting.
Way longer than I was expecting. I was expecting 30 seconds of him laughing.
And yeah, I mean, I was just expecting like a quick teaser as well. And so basically, looking at the trailer at face value, you just kind of think, okay, do we need a Joker origin story? And, because the Joker's origin story certainly changes in pretty much every iteration, if it even does exist in said iteration at all. In example you like, in The Dark Knight, they had Heath Ledger's telling of his origin change based on whoever he was talking to.
That's perfect.
So I really like that angle. Yeah, and for me, I really do like that. That's one of my favorite aspects about the Joker is that, and that's what makes him scary. And that's why I think a lot of people also take issue with Gotham. And I don't know that it's necessarily going to be a problem for this film. I'm curious to find out. But that's a huge part of what makes the Joker scary is no one knows who he is. No one can ID him. He doesn't have a name. That's just what makes him terrifying. He's like a mythological figure, essentially, that is existing in the real world as this evil clown prince of crime that nobody nobody knows. And so losing that element and going in with this origin story with Joaquin Phoenix and giving the Joker the name Arthur Fleck, and then going from there, I'm on board. I'm certainly looking forward to it. It looks like the film is going to be high caliber. I think Joaquin Phoenix, first of all, is already nailing his role as the Joker. You can just tell. Like, Tate, when I was watching this trailer and you cut to the scene where he's watching stand-up, he gives the full Joker laugh without emoting too much, it was so unsettling and creepy. It really stuck out to me. I was like, wow, that was fucking... Sorry, I demonetized. But I was like, dude.
Oh my god. Okay. Okay. Dude, Joaquin Phoenix is incredible. I didn't want a Joker origin story, but knowing that Joaquin Phoenix is at the reins, I'm not worried. Watching an actor of his caliber descend into insanity is like... It's like putting your mind inside of a fruit fly with that, rapid and magnification, the rapid processing and magnified processing. It's just so disjointed from reality, and it is going to be so incredible to watch this. If you guys have watched Gladiator, and that movie, he descends into madness, and it is so beautiful to watch him.
I'm
just
really
descend.
hoping, I'm hoping that in a sense they allow us to feel that madness come off of the movie and kind of, take us for a psychological trip to where we don't know what's going on. We spend 10 minutes in the narrative going one particular direction, and then we're told, oh no, that was just from Arthur's perspective, or Arthur made all of that up, and this is not what actually is happening, and you're just being toyed with the whole time. And like the whole theme of the movie could be the joke is on you. And then by the time you get to the end of the movie, maybe those key elements of the Joker are still in place. Maybe he was never Arthur Fleck. Maybe a good portion of the movie didn't happen the way we thought it did. You know, just certain things like that, I kind of hope will be present in the movie by the end.
Hey, how mad would you be if it was just Jared Leto talking to an Arkham guard, and the whole thing was a made-up backstory?
That would be nuts.
The post-credit scene.
Yeah.
Tim Sargent asks
Listen,
I don't
subscribe.
question.
I don't subscribe to this. Like, this is a problem I have with this whole idea of multiple Jokers and Gotham did this. People, you know, Jerome and people being inspired by the No, listen, man. The Joker can be inspired, but there needs to be one Joker. End of story.
Hey,
you
just said to a comic books fan, you just made a mistake. in New 52 and Rebirth, there's a.
I understand.
Heard about it, right?
I understand, and I don't particularly care. I know,
for sure, yeah.
But it's like, to me, there's got to be one Joker. To have multiple Jokers, especially at the same time, and especially if their identities are known, it's like, listen, man.
There's no payoff.
I don't know. There's something that devalues the Joker for me when you know everything about him, when there are multiples of them, when another existing character in DC can just become the Joker out of nowhere. So, you know, it's different. It's different if it's like a different universe and you're talking like Martha Wayne becomes the Joker. You know, that's fine. Like it happening differently in parallel realities. But I'm saying in the same universe, knowing identities, having Jokers, I've never been on board.
So there's three things that devalue Joker in my perspective as somebody who loves Batman comics and Batman movies. The most important thing of all of them, you can't know Joker's backstory. The second one is not anybody can become Joker. You know, there's a reason why there's one. Nobody's that crazy. And then number three, you can't have Joker without Batman. And what is this movie doing? It is taking two of those three things and implementing them into the story. But I am excited for this movie because of the fact that this is going to be a solo movie because Joaquin won't do a multi-picture deal. It's going to be a movie that focuses on the descent of one man. This movie is going to be detached from the DCEU. And I think so. So it's not a Joker movie because this isn't Batman Joker. This isn't the same Joker. This is a man descending into madness and taking up a similar moniker. I don't even call this a DC Joker movie. This is going to be Joaquin Phoenix descending into madness, and that's why I'm excited for it.
Yeah. I mean, it is called Joker, but, you know, I totally understand what you're saying. You know, you can't. You have to kind of disconnect from the idea that the Joker can't exist without Batman, because to me, that's never really been a thing. Like, the Joker can exist but without Batman, in the sense that he existed before Batman. That's always kind of been my sense, that like the Joker doesn't just suddenly show up, you know, get tossed in the vat by Batman and then become directly linked to him in a matter of months or a year. The Joker, for me, you know, whenever I think of the Joker, I always think that the guy had to have existed and gotten started at least 5 to 10 years before Batman suited up. And
I agree with you.
And that the Joker became priority number one when Batman does suit up. You know.
So here's the thing. The thing about Joker is that, you know, whatever Joker chronology you focus on, you know, sometimes it's about
maybe the Joker, like he operates on a lower level, and then when Batman shows up, then he becomes a serious threat because he ups his game.
So what happens a lot in chronology is the Joker's apparent. You know, he's there. Sometimes he's thrown into chemicals. Sometimes he's, you know, just a crazy person. Sometimes we know nothing. There was one where a Joker, you know, was frozen in ice, and then when he came out of it, he was so destroyed. You know, we don't need the vat of chemicals. We don't need any of that. The reason why I think we need Batman is because the entirety of compulsiveness and the obsession around Batman gives Joker motivation in every single instance we see Joker. In the Arkham games, you know, from backstory, we know that the Joker's just a bad guy, but as soon as he meets Batman, he completes him. In The Dark Knight, as soon as he meets Batman, he realizes that he's completed.
Right? So he gets worse, and he starts operating on a larger scale, and and just like.
But just for Batman, that's the thing.
Right? He transforms again because of Batman.
So it's hard to say that Joker can exist without Batman when he goes through that transformation. The Joker that we know in Batman chronology is not going to be the same Joker we see in this Joaquin Phoenix movie. It's not. To have a full Joker, he has to have that transformation into obsession. Because the obsession in any sense, is really the root of insanity. Whether that be, an obsession based around a person or a feeling or a situation, that's what drives people to insanity. And that's why Joker is so compelling. Because he can't exist without Batman. At least in the sense of what we see in our comic book movies and our comic books. So this Joker existing outside of Batman will be a breath of fresh air, and it'll be really interesting. But it won't be the full Joker. It'll be different. And I'm really excited for something different.
Yeah, like we can't... I do agree there. You can't reach prime Joker without Batman. And so we just have to walk. You have to walk into this movie. It's regardless of how it plays out. One thing I am concerned with, though, is listen, man. when Chris and John Nolan wrote The Dark Knight, man, I swear those guys were touched by God. Obviously, not in the sense of the events that they were inspired to write about and how the story plays out, but just in how well crafted it wound up being.
Golly.
And that's what I'm saying. So I'm just thinking, like, I don't think Joaquin Phoenix will be able to rise to the same level as Heath Ledger. I think he will become a very close second. And not because he can't, but because I just don't know that the writing will allow for him to reach that level. What story is this movie going to tell that is going to be so inventive and so well thought out and so incredibly well crafted that it will allow Joaquin Phoenix to reach that level? I don't think it's going to happen. So I don't know that it's going to happen again in our lifetime for any iteration of the Joker.
Yeah, no. So my take is that this isn't a Joker facing Batman, so this isn't the best Joker that's ever going to go on screen. But it's also unfair to compare. Well, I can't say this now. I'm going to say this when the movie comes out because I'm gonna like this movie even if it has like a 30% on Rotten Tomatoes. I already know because I love Joaquin Phoenix. But I kind of preemptively speaking, it's going to be hard to compare this Joker to the Heath Ledger Joker because the Heath Ledger Joker had the Batman motivation. You can't have prime Joker without Batman, as we were saying. You can't have a perfect Joker without Batman. This movie's not going to have Joker, but I don't think that this is going to be the Joker we know. This is going to be a new inventive breed that we're only going to see in this one movie. Because Joaquin Phoenix will never subscribe to a basic role. Will never. He will always invent the role, will make it new. And it'll be hard to compare the two, in my opinion.
Yeah, but I mean, ultimately, in comparing the two, are you going to watch this movie and then be able to say, I actually kind of want to watch this over The Dark Knight? Will the story be nearly as compelling? I just don't think it will, because The Dark Knight in 2007 just set too high a standard. They reached the mountaintop, and I don't know that anybody will be able to get there. And again, just to reiterate, not because Joaquin Phoenix can't. I think he absolutely could rise to the occasion and be on Heath's level. But I mean, from the writing standpoint again.
Right. He needs the team behind him. But there's also the idea of there'll never be The Dark Knight is the apex of superhero movies because it doesn't withhold, because like I've been saying every week we film this podcast, I think that superhero movies are their own genre now, right? They're not action adventures. There's superhero movies. The Dark Knight's in the superhero movie category, but I don't think this Joker movie will be in the superhero movie category. I think it'll be an indie drama.
But you can't detach from that because the Joker is a comic book character.
That's true, but I think they're going to. And this is going to be a comic book movie, but I think it's going to be genreified into into...
Well, they can genreify it all they want, but ultimately the Joker is still the Joker from DC Comics, period.
That's true.
Yeah. Like, full stop. Right? So, I mean, I understand, and I think they'll obviously do the emphasis on that angle to get you to detach as much as possible so that they can make you feel that way. But that fact will always remain.
True. So, that is true. I know as a fan of cinema in general... I'm going to detach this from a superhero movie as soon as I see it. I just know from watching the trailer. Like, just comparing this to other works that are similar, this is going to be a highly dramatic film. This is not going to be your average superhero film.
Another thing, too, is I don't think he's going to fall into the vat in this movie.
Oh, dude, he's not going to. He's going to go crazy. He's going to descend into madness. Joker doesn't need to fall into the... doesn't need to fall into the vat. I mean, there's not going to be that big psychological change, I don't think.
And so I was only bringing that up because this isn't like, even if this is a standalone movie, his appearance is not going to be final Joker. Meaning, like, you're in this movie, like, you're not going to see him in the full purple suit. You're not going to see him with the mangled face and the scars, or like, the red lipstick, like purposefully painted onto his face to look like an enhanced smile. I mean, they are kind of doing that in the movie, sure, but I just don't think they're going to go all the way because it is an origin for the Joker as well. So, like, even though it kind of looks like a final endgame, not to confuse with Avengers, but a final, like, ending look for the Joker, even though it kind of looks like that, I really don't think.
Oh, it's not going to be. But we're never gonna see a Joaquin Phoenix Joker in a Batman movie. We're not. That's my opinion, at least. I don't think
has Joaquin Phoenix ever done a single sequel in his life?
I don't think so. I follow his work a lot, and he does highly individual, highly stylized, dramatic movies. Those are the kind of movies that are my favorites, at least personally, because they're the most like indie movies, and they're the most creative and inventive, and they take risks. He's not going to be in another DC movie, at least not as Joker. This is going, and I don't think that it's right to look at this like it as an origin story. I mean, of course it's going to be, but origin story in the guise of superhero movies kind of means that there's going to be a franchise based off of it. But I think that this is going to be Joaquin Phoenix descending into madness, and then the whole revolution that he starts, the whole anarchist. It reminds me of the 1970s London. The whole anarchy movement with everybody wearing the clown masks. Yeah. Like, just think about that.
And listen, man, I think that even a trilogy is problematic, because we were kind of talking about this before we started. Joaquin Phoenix is already middle age, and so therefore, like, and it's in the 80s, and so if, like, we say we reach modern era, and Bruce Wayne suits up as Batman to finally confront this guy. The Joker would be in like his 70s or 80s. I mean, the guy is not going to be able to contend with Batman at all. And not that the Joker ever usually does. But usually, like in the case of The Dark Knight, he'll do it for a second to distract him, right? So, like, this Joker wouldn't even be able to do that. He'd be so frail by the time Batman suits up. And so it's like, they're obviously not going to go that route. That's never been the intention. And so I'm just saying, you really can't even do a trilogy, because eventually you start the question of, like, how far are we going to go with the Joker before he suits up, before Batman suits up, will creep up, because it's like, thinking beyond this, it's like, okay, maybe in the next movie you introduce Harley or whatever, you start to expand a little bit there. Where do you go with a third movie? Like, this really should be a standalone film, period. I feel like anything else is excess.
It's going to be a standalone film. It's Joaquin Phoenix. You know what I mean? They're gonna craft a great standalone story, and it's going to make everybody say that the superhero genre needed to be genreified. You know what I mean? Like, we needed something more than just people beating each other up. It's going to be a high drama where Joaquin Phoenix, starts as a human being living his life, taking care of, whoever he was taking care of in the trailer. It looked like his mother or whatever. And then he's just going to descend into madness. And that's...
I also want to be careful about glorifying the film before, because it's like...
Oh, I agree with you.
Those things... I feel like those things have been done, like with Logan, you know.
Oh, Logan's great.
Logan is you know,
awesome.
like it's. So I wouldn't like put this up on a pedestal saying like, you know, this is going to be a crazy genre-changing film.
Well, I don't think it'll change the genre. I think it'll be a breath of fresh air.
Yeah. Maybe one that we've needed since Logan has been, you know, Logan was 2 years ago.
Yeah, so my favorite superhero movies are The Dark Knight and Logan because of the fact that they take the genre and they make really good movies out of a genre that's kind of stale, at least in my opinion. I like to watch the big set pieces, but I prefer, you know, dramatic movies. And I just this to me, the build up to this feels the same as the build up to Logan felt, at least for me. You know, that you're taking this big character and you're just kind of...
I'll tell you one thing. I hope it's not like Logan, because Logan is a disturbing film that really takes a dump on all your hopes and dreams for the X-Men. And just leaves you in a horrible place emotionally. And it's like, I don't know if I'm ready for that. You know, like that was so awful for me that I had to treat it as an Elseworld story walking out of the theater. Like, that is not what happens to James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender, man. Like, get out of here.
Well, of course,
like,
the Joker movie's detached from the DCEU, so I don't think that's
right. Yeah, so those problems won't exist.
Right, but man, I mean, I just want to watch
for my poor emotional state.
I just want to see him descend into madness, dude. I love watching Joaquin Phoenix just flex his acting muscles, and he's gonna be able to do that in this movie. I really do. I really think so. Because see, the thing is with Joaquin Phoenix is if he's doing a movie and he's not allowed to be Joaquin Phoenix, he's not gonna continue making the movie. I mean, the dude is a legend. He wouldn't allow that kind of thing to slip through the cracks. I mean, I haven't seen a bad Joaquin Phoenix movie. I don't think there is one. You know? It's just, oh man, I'm sorry. I'm a huge fan of his. That's why I'm so excited about this. So movie.
Tate, the Joker is going to be great, probably. I think we can both agree.
So, I think how I'm defining, at least my stance on it, is the Joker has like an 80% chance of being a great movie.
Yeah.
But it's still a DC movie, unfortunately.
That's always the string attached now. You know, normally I wouldn't have. I wasn't on the train of like that being negative stigma until Ben left. For me, the second Ben left is when it was the moment where I was like, okay, now DC lost me too. You know?
Yeah. Of course.
Yeah, man. So, speaking of DC and their failings on the DC Extended Universe side, we've had some updates regarding James Gunn's The Suicide Squad reboot.
Jesus.
This is such a mess. So again,
I'm out. No, I'm unplugging.
Dude. So The Suicide Squad, and you're gonna have you just pull the graphic entirely, dude. So it's James Gunn is doing a reboot, and they're just putting "the" in front of it, The Suicide Squad, and then the reports came out. Idris Elba is coming in to replace Will Smith as Deadshot. I'm like, what is going on? And so today, in the last several days, I think have actually been somewhat of a positive spin on the story now, because reports are now circulating that Idris Elba is actually not going to play Deadshot simply because he, out of respect for not trampling on Will Smith's work as Floyd Lawton, which I think is great. I don't have a problem with this with Suicide Squad and the roster changing. You know, that's how it always was. You know, the Suicide Squad was never a tight-knit group. They always had different members, and so that's fine. If Floyd Lawton sits this movie out, whatever. That's fine. Okay. I think they at least need Margot Robbie back in for Harley this as well, but that probably won't happen. Either way, they also came out now, and Jai Courtney is coming back as Captain Boomerang.
Oh, really?
Viola Davis is coming back as Amanda Waller.
That's great casting.
Oh my god. And I think there was some other actor that was also confirmed to be coming back. I forget who. It might have been just those two, if I'm not mistaken, maybe. But What that says to me is the opposite of the point they've been driving home, that this is a reboot. It's like, it's a reboot. We're putting the in front of the title, but it's okay. We're not going to recast. We're actually not going to recast Deadshot. We're still going to bring back Viola Davis and Jack Gordon.
If it's another cosmic or wizardry or, end of the world threat that they're fighting, dude, I will leave in the middle of the movie. I will leave in the middle of the movie. Yeah, this is the problem.
The Suicide Squad, they never really have villain to face.
Cosmic threats are for the Justice League. Yeah. Okay, yeah. If the world's threatened and going to blow up, Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman will save the world.
Well, Tate, they lost their Batman and Superman, so now it kind of is up to them.
Well,
Batman and Superman suddenly disappeared into the ether.
I swear to God, dude, they're going to get Dr. Manhattan, and it's going to be like, oh, Suicide Squad, you have to go kill Dr. Manhattan.
Oh, my God. So, yeah, man, I have very low expectations for this. Even with James Gunn attached, I don't care. I just don't. I mean, especially if Margot Robbie can't be Harley Quinn in this also. She's what held all the Suicide Squad together, if you ask me. Her portrayal as Harley Quinn is damn near perfect, and it's like...
Yeah, it's great.
And so, listen, a Suicide Squad movie that focuses on, like, the less... So basically, the two strongest elements of the original Suicide Squad, Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn and Will Smith as Floyd Lawton, Deadshot, those are the two best parts of the original Suicide Squad. And it's like, so you're going to pull them out and we're supposed to care? It's like, I don't... And listen, man, they also announced is coming back as Rick Flag. And again, it's like, great. This sounds like a mess. Cool, it sounds like they already don't know if they're doing a reboot. It's like, I'm already out.
Let's get rid of the shark. I mean, let's get rid of the crocodile and put a shark in its place. New movie, guys. Yeah. New movie. New movie. Guys, it's a Hammerhead. It's King Shark. It's not
Listen, man,
Killer Crocodile.
If you ask me, Guardians 2 was a prime example that James Gunn did everything right. And so it's like, I think he's going to put all of his passion back into Guardians 3. I don't know that he's necessarily going to bring it for this. I don't care whether or not he does. Like I mentioned, the DCEU and its films right now are just very much in limbo for me. I don't care whether they're good or not. If Shazam wasn't good, I would have been able to sleep at night. It's like, it doesn't bother me anymore. It's not like there is it. The massive potential that we were being teased with, for me, is just gone. It's like we're not gonna get perfect Justice League films with a great cast. We're not gonna get the Justice League beating the Suicide Squad. None of this is going to happen. And it's like Golden Light Pictures said, it's like, dude, it just sounds like a reboot quill.
That is a cool.
It's thing. Just what a mess, man. What a mess. What a shame.
God, it's just so annoying, dude.
But to transition away from that, I don't know if you have anything
let's not talk about that. No, you know what I have to add to that?
Yeah.
They're taking my favorite characters from fiction. They're putting them in a toilet bowl. They're dumping a bunch of money into that toilet bowl. And then they're putting my face into that toilet bowl and then putting the plunger down. That's how it feels.
That's what it feels like as a fan. Yeah. Oh, and especially after Ben Affleck left, it's like I just feel like I was baited for all those years. Dude. It's like and just sold so many promises that were just completely disassembled and destroyed. It's like I will not subscribe to anything DC is doing until I see it, until it actually comes to fruition. And it's like, that's about it, man. My trust is gone.
If the Joker movie was the exact same movie, the exact same acting, but it had I don't know, anybody name actor, except it wasn't Joaquin Phoenix, I wouldn't be on board. But since it's Joaquin Phoenix, I'm on board. But anyway, moving forward, before I kill myself over this topic. The Endgame sets were finally released on April 1st. That is not an April Fool's joke.
It has been monopolizing my week, man. I have gotten 4 of the 5 reviews up now, and I'm gearing up for the final Avengers compound review. I'm hoping to get it up by Tuesday night because I have to get my ass on a plane for Celebration on Wednesday morning. I also have a whole essay I have to write the rough draft of, and that's great. And it's like I'm kind of losing it. But these sets, I'm not going to talk about them here. They have some ups and downs, a lot of positives, a lot of negatives. The new Quinjet's fantastic. The Hall of Armor is really cool, but overpriced. There's a lot to talk about, and I do so in all my reviews. But it's like, man, stores are very behind. There are so many people. You can get them online right now on Target, Amazon, Walmart.com. Easy. You try to go in store, man, it's a good chance that your store is behind and they haven't gotten around to putting them out on the shelves yet. So unless you walk in there with an item number, you're not getting the sets, most likely. Guys, that was the case for me and a lot of people. They have to be pulled from the back.
Just get the week-long trial of Amazon Prime and get the sets if you care that much. Because, I mean, there you go. Ross, I want you to review the Quinjet, by the way. And, dude, the Chitauri figure, the new head, oh my god, that's pretty good, dude.
The body itself is a little lackluster, but you put that head and that looks good, man.
Yeah, man.
And the Quinjet is surprisingly, that is honestly just about better than the original. I was very surprised. It has such a good interior, and the new War Machine Buster pairs so nicely with last year's Hulk Buster. I mean, it's not perfect. I wouldn't say the wave is as strong as Infinity War at all. But, at least they did a few things right in sending off our original Avengers. It's not like it was all bad. This new motorcycle I just reviewed, I put up the review today for Captain America Outrider Attack. The motorcycle, I thought it was just going to be like mostly a kid's thing. It's surprisingly a decent looking build, bulky, but decent and full of features. And so, I mean, they are what they are. It is what it is. I'm looking forward to finally, hopefully, closing out the reviews here. But,
boy, do I want more Outrider figures? Do I just want so many Outrider figures? I don't want a Revan figure. That's not what I want.
It's like they give us a new Ant-Man helmet, but then they give us 10 Outriders. It's like they give us a new Captain America helmet, and then it's like they... don't fix Captain Marvel. It's like it's a trade-off for everything, I think, in these sets. It really is. But also,
a quick endgame theory, guys. We only have Chitauri in one set. Maybe the Quinjet can time travel.
Oh, dude, Tate, real quick, we were about to forget to talk about the friggin' endgame trailer and the ticket top.
Oh, right. Oh, my gosh. How did we not pull a graphic for those? We forgot.
That's okay, man. Just leave this one up. It's fine. Yeah, dude, that new Endgame trailer was something of dreams. Those shots of, like, Tony and Thor and Cap walking toward Thanos. I mean, all the new dialogue from Thanos. Him coming down from his ship and not using the Space Stone for whatever reason.
Oh, man.
I mean, oh my God. I all those new character posters that came out, all the new Endgame stuff has been absolutely great.
20 days. 20 days.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to have a big showcase for release, but I'm going to be really taking my time after Celebration and really making the best Endgame figures that I can over the summer. And I hope everybody will still join me for it because, I don't want to rush any figures in 20 days. It hasn't worked out the same way as I would like. But, it is what it is. I'm going to at least try to make the Quantum Realm suits and a few new heads for Endgame's actual release. And we will see how it goes. But, man, I got to say, I think that... it's kind of crazy Lego's release schedule too with the sets because it's like they've been like we just found out and a lot of people are finding out. YouTubers are already starting to review but get the sets up. Dude, the Spider-Man Far From Home sets are already at Targets in the back.
Isn't that weird?
Street dated for the 22nd this month.
Endgame's not even out yet.
Like Endgame sets like just hit stores finally, and the Far From Home sets are already in the backs of like Targets and Walmarts and everywhere, street dated, waiting for the release on the 22nd. So if you want to get them early, you're going to have a tough time doing it if you can even manage to pull it off, but that is the thing. So Dark Brick Productions, can you at least try to make Thanos? So yeah, man, I can't make a really fantastic Thanos big fig, Infinity Gauntlet, armor, Infinity Gauntlet, sword, and all in 20 days. Because I'm also leaving for Star Wars Celebration. I'm going to be gone for a week. So right there, shave off. I'm down to 14 days. This essay I have to write. It's like, it's not working out the same way Infinity War did, but that's okay. Infinity War was an event, and Endgame is just not worked out quite the same due to my own time management and also due to that lack of reference that kind of dissuaded me from getting started for all this time. So it should still be really fantastic. Like I said, I'm going to do my best to make the best figures that I can. But yeah, like Golden Light Preacher said, #life.
Yeah. May I also add, Dark Brick Productions, Ross also has to make me the entire cast of Arrow, all like 80 people that are in the show before he makes that Thanos. It's kind of a top priority right now.
Dude, speaking of Arrow, friggin' Emily Bett Rickards leaving before.
Oh, dude.
Sucks.
Whatever. I mean,
you don't even care.
On.
Yeah, I don't really care either, but it's like, I've been keeping up with Arrow. It's been good, but it's a shame that she won't be there for the end. I think it's really weird.
Just don't make her. Make the entire cast minus her. So just do 79 figures.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
But yeah,
dude, that's just so weird. Leaving the show like right before the finale, right before the end. Well, like that's so like how can she even do that with her contract? Is what I'm wondering.
Yeah, man. So, guys, this is our final show live until the week after next. So
yes, we're taking 1 week off of live.
Yeah, so next week there will be a podcast this same time on Saturday, so it'll go up here on the channel at 2 p.m., but it's going to be a exclusively Star Wars podcast. We're celebrating Star Wars Celebration offline, recording a separate podcast, just talking about Star Wars, period, like at length and nothing else, pretty much, because of course we can go on for about Star Wars for hours, but I am leaving. Star Wars Celebration is April 11th, 15th. I'm leaving the 10th, this upcoming Wednesday, early in the morning, to get over there and settle in Chicago and gear up for what is going to be a very hectic 5 days. And I was there for Star Wars Celebration Orlando. It was one of the greatest times of my life. I mean, the 40th panel and seeing George Lucas and Mark Hamill, Hayden Christensen, and Harrison Ford, and John Williams and Carrie Fisher's daughter all share the screen, being in the room for the original Last Jedi trailer that was revealed, and seeing Daisy, John Boyega, and Kathleen Kennedy, all of them present that. And and so I was there for Orlando, got to do everything that I wanted to with my friends. It was incredible, and I'm hoping that we'll have a similar experience this time in Chicago. As for where I'll be each day, I mean, I will be at the panels, depending on which ones I get into, now that they've implemented this lottery system. And I'm also going to be in the photo op and autograph, or the autograph hall for different photo ops and autograph sessions with various actors. And I might post those times online before I go, just for anybody that's going to Celebrations, so they have those and we can maybe meet up. And yeah, so it's going to be intense. I'm not ready. It is a very fast-paced convention with a lot going on, and you really have to be on top of your game and alert. And it is, yeah, man, it's going to be nuts, and it should be fun. So anyway, again, next week it'll be a pre-recorded tape show, just talking about Star Wars, all of it. Revenge of the Sith prequels, Last Jedi, original trilogy, Rogue One, upcoming films, whatever. We're going to talk about it. And I
have some opinions I'd like to share regarding the sequels.
But Tate, the next time we're live, we're going to have new footage, new trailers, and images of The Mandalorian.
Oh,
new footage,
dude.
new posters and images of Star Wars: The Clone Wars Season 7. We're going to have the new Episode 9 trailer and poster, the first teaser poster for that. I mean, we're going to have like
everybody expect back-to-back Star Wars specials. Expect back-to-back Star Wars specials. It shaped both of our lives, essentially. So.
Yeah, man. So again, next Saturday too, it is going to be just an offline show all about Star Wars while I'm away at Celebration, and Tate's going to post that on Saturday at 2. And then after that, we'll be coming back, and it'll be kind of the Celebration recap, and I'll be talking about it, I'm sure, at length. And it should be really great. And there was vlogs coming soon. Golden Light, I don't know. I'm not really planning on doing a vlog at the moment. Haven't really been thinking about doing one. We'll see. Maybe maybe before I leave. I think I will post something. I will post a video on my main channel, so that everybody knows. Like I did that for Orlando. I just last minute put up a video. Hey, going to Celebration. If you're there, keep an eye out for Ross. And I'll do the same thing before I leave. So that'll be up on the main channel after the Avengers compound review, hopefully, if everything goes according to plan and I get a bad grade on my rough draft for this final essay. So, yeah.
Do you want me to write your essay for you? Tait. I guess
yeah. All right, Tait. That's going to do it, man.
Well, yeah, everybody, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I know we talked a lot about Shazam and the Joker, but there were a lot of talking points regarding those. Like Ross said, next week we're going to have the Star Wars special out. We will not be live, as he said. And yeah, thank you guys so much for checking it out. Glad to see you guys every week. It's so awesome to see the same names in chat every week. I mean, it really is. It's so flattering and so humbling to see you guys.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys hanging out, man.
Yeah, it's been lots of fun. But any final thoughts?
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you all.